I can get up to speed quickly. When you give Copilot these 4 elements, it's going to be even more useful to you. Now, a couple of key tips for you to keep in mind. In addition to some exciting capabilities like translating languages, writing stories, solving technical problems, there are some other hints to get even more value out of Copilot. One, it is helpful to communicate clearly. Use some good punctuation and grammar because we all can get confused when a comma is in the wrong spot. If we are changing topics, start a new conversation. And it is useful to be professional and treat Copilot with respect. This might seem odd at first, but it has been shown that Copilot gives better and more thoughtful responses when you speak to it like a trusted colleague as opposed to treating it poorly. So being professional to Copilot is just a good practice. Now, if you would like to explore some prompts that exist out there already, you have the ability to do this through something called the Copilot Prompt Gallery. You can access this by clicking an icon that looks like this near your Copilot chat interface. That will open up the prompt gallery and you can take a look at some of the prompts that has been created by our team at Microsoft and more. And you can even press this bookmark icon to save those prompts for your future use. If you find one that works really well for you, you can share that prompt with a colleague. You'll see a copy prompt link icon there next to the save icon. That link will then, anytime it's clicked, populate the prompt into the chat box there at the bottom automatically so that you can use that prompt over and over and send it to your colleagues.
Working smarter with Copilot Chat.
Now, let's take a look at Copilot in action. We are going to walk through each of these different capabilities one by one, and I'll demonstrate them for you. And to get started, we're going to summarize information and stay informed. To begin, let's see how Copilot can help us summarize information. I find myself here in the Microsoft 365 Copilot app on the Chat tab, and I've selected Web for this prompt. I'm going to ask Copilot, can you give me a news brief of the EV charging industry this month? Simply hit the Submit button, and Copilot will go to work. Now, in this example, I'm embodying Jordan, who's an employee of Boulder Innovations, an EV charging company. So this is useful for me to gather the latest information. In here, I can see that reliability is improving, but satisfaction may be declining. I can see a lot of data that was able to be pulled by searching the web. Market growth and investment trends, infrastructure information, and at the bottom, Copilot has summarized this even further with the key takeaways. Let's ask Copilot something else. In order to start a new chat with Copilot, I can press this button right up here, and that will give me a fresh slate. This is important to do because Copilot, in its responses, considers the conversation that you are having. So if you abruptly change topics, it should be able to follow you, but sometimes, just like a human, it can get lost. So selecting a new chat when we're doing something different is a good practice. I'm going to ask, I am writing a post-meeting email to a new vendor in Amsterdam. How do you say thank you for your time in Dutch? I'll hit submit. Copilot will go to work. It says you can say bedankt voor uw tijd. And I'm really hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it's letting me know that that is a polite and formal way that I can respond in a business email. Copilot and most AI is very good at languages. So it's easy for us to ask Copilot to translate something, and it can not only translate it word for word, but also understand the context of what you are trying to say and the nuances of the language you are translating into. Let's try another example. I'll start a new chat. Now, in this example, I'm going to ask Copilot to give me step-by-step instructions on how to forget a Bluetooth device in Windows 11. Very quick response here. This is a clear step-by-step guide to forget or remove a Bluetooth device in Windows 11. What I like about how it phrased this was forget is not necessarily the right term. It then put in parentheses the correct term, remove, but respected what I originally. Here it is giving me the step-by-step directions I have asked for. This is really useful for general learning and education and summarizing what could be complex into a quick and easy list. Next, I want to show you how Copilot can help brainstorm new ideas and even create new content. Copilot is not only good at summarizing information, but it's also fantastic at creating new information. Copilot can help you brainstorm and draft content. Let's take a look at how it does this. I'm here on the chat tab using web mode, and I'm asking Copilot to help me create a 5-question user research survey on EV charging speeds. This will be an anonymous survey, so we don't need to ask for personal data. Let's see Copilot create an entirely new survey. Okay, perfect. Here I have my EV charging speed survey, and it asks some logical questions about how people would charge and use their EV, how satisfied they are, what is most important to them, and how we can possibly improve our products. These questions are great, but I want to guide the user a little bit more. I'm going to ask Copilot to suggest some description text for each of those questions that can assist readers in their responses. Okay, and I can see now that there is, right underneath the question, a bit of an explanation as to why this question matters and some helpful tips that can guide them along completing this survey. Copilot can iterate, so even though it created it without that information, all I need to do is use my words to describe to Copilot how I would like what it responded with changed, and then it will be able to implement those changes for me easily. Now that Copilot has helped us make this survey, I want to get into more of a tangible form. I'm going to ask Copilot to create this as a Word document so that I can share it to my team for review. Copilot is not just able to create bodies of text, but it is also able to create entire documents. This does take a little bit longer. I can see that Copilot is analyzing that request, and it will go through and process it. Here, Copilot is letting me know that the Word document is ready, and it even gave me a link to download it. Let's take a look. Notice here I have my downloads, and I can select Open File, and now that will open in Microsoft Word. Notice it kept my question descriptions, it kept all of the available options, put this into a Word document. All that's left for me to do is to save it to Microsoft 365 and share it however I'd like. Let's try something else. I want to have Copilot help build an entire blog post. Now for this task, I am going to switch to the work context, as you can see here up at the top, so that it has a bit more understanding about my business. Again, this is available because I have a Microsoft 365 Copilot license assigned. I'm going to ask, I need to create a blog post for Boulder's social media regarding the latest EV charging technology. Can you help me draft some copy to use? Let's see what we get. Okay, so Copilot has looked not only on the web, but also through our own internal company context. So I can see here key Boulder messaging. From your internal marketing copy, Charge Up Home stands out, and it's showing me information about our specific product. It's incredibly useful. But then it is also highlighting industry trends that it found through the web. It then is providing me draft copy for this blog post. It has provided an example of a headline or title, an introduction, a body, and much more. Let's take this idea and refine it a little bit more. I'm going to ask Copilot for this to be a bit of a quicker read. Can you provide two options written to be less verbose, with the first option from a commercial lens and a second option from a residential lens? Let's see. Okay, it looks like Copilot has provided me these two options that I've requested. Here's one from a commercial lens, talking about powering a fleet, load balancing, integrations that scale for your operations. It's definitely a commercial lens. Then I can see here for the residential lens, this is talking about smart scheduling, how easy it is to install, how its design is sleek, things that are more impactful for a homeowner to review. So these are great. I can now expand upon them and take them into whatever direction I would like. Once I find that this blog post is in a good place, I can also get a second opinion. You can ask Copilot to review its own work, and this is quite a useful exercise. Just like us humans, everything is always worth a second review, a second read. Let's see what Copilot has to say about its own writing. I'm going to ask, can you review these two blog posts and suggest improvements to maximize user engagement? If you notice, there's a box here where Copilot says it reasoned. Copilot is able to determine the amount of review and the amount of effort that it needs to put in to give you the best possible result. So when you see a box like this, you know that it's Copilot working a little bit harder on the question that you've asked. Down here, it's telling us what to improve: name accuracy and clarity, making things less general, tightening the promise, mirroring what the customer says that they would want. It's going into here with a commercial lens, talking about what works, and then it is even revising it. So it's showing me an updated version of its original work. So let's say I've reviewed all of this rich information, and I've decided that I like what it has written. I want it to create for me a final draft, if you will, of this blog post. Let's ask that to Copilot. I'm going to say, great job. Copilot does appreciate praise. And say, please create a final draft version of both of these blog posts, incorporating your feedback. Great. I can see here that Copilot has made its way through, suggesting headlines, body copy, call to actions for both of these blog posts. This is quite useful. So what do we do next? I want to draw your attention here to the bottom of Copilot's response. There is an icon that looks like a pen with lines behind it. This allows us to take this response and edit it in Copilot Pages. By pressing this and then selecting Edit in Pages, it is going to take that response and move it into this element that you see here. It'll even bring in the prompt and then the entire response. What's nice about a Copilot page is that I'm able to save this and even invite people to collaborate with me. That way I don't always have to keep coming back to this one conversation with Copilot to reference the blog posts that it gave me. And I can use this over time to iterate and improve on the blog posts before it goes public. I will want to clean this up a bit. I don't need the prompt, so I will delete that. I'll start right in with blog post 1, blog post 2. Copilot did tell me why it believes these are ready to publish, and while that's good for me to review, I don't need it here in this page. Now I have a nice, concise, 2 blog posts and the title of the page listed right up here. Copilot can take the files that you give it and analyze it and extract the key information. I want to show you how Copilot can help you gather insights on your files. Copilot excels at generating insights based on your data. Let me give you an example. Here I have referenced some survey results from a recently conducted poll. I'm going to ask Copilot, last week we conducted a survey on EV charging speeds. Can you analyze the responses from this survey result file? Now, I'm able to reference this file because I am here in the Work tab and I have a Copilot license. I'm going to go ahead and submit this. Great, now it has finished this work. Let's scroll down and see our analysis. It leads with an executive summary for me, letting me know what things have stood out. It's letting me know that the usage frequency is regular, satisfaction is mixed, the reported charging speeds are all over the place, and the willingness to wait clusters in a between 15 to 45-minute window. There are some improvements that are requested, most of them involving capacity. The variability of speed is a constant pain point that they've let us know. All of this is analyzing the responses that customers gave, kind of writing in their own words. Copilot's able to look at those, analyze what exactly they're trying to say, and then give us this useful information. You can see there's a lot of data that it was able to parse through. It's giving me responses on a question by question basis and showing me the distribution of their responses. All of this is incredibly useful stuff. However, it is a lot of information. I want to have something that's a bit more concise that I can send to an executive. So I'll ask Copilot, these are great insights. Can you draft a summary of your analysis with notable quotes that I can send to our team? And just like that, Copilot comes back and says, here's some key insights, showing me the satisfaction with charging speeds, willingness to wait, and more. Here are some quotes. As you see, they are throughout with each response. I'm seeing a customer's direct quote as well as the summarized data. And finally, some overall takeaways here at the bottom. Now, just as before, I'm going to edit this in a page by selecting this button here, and then edit in pages. I can rename my page by clicking the title right up here, and I can rename that to whatever I'd like. I'll call it Latest EV Charging Survey Insights. And then I'll clean this up a bit. I'll remove the prompt. And I'll go down to the bottom and remove this follow-up question from Copilot. Make this just nice and clean. And just like that, I've created a new page with the insights from all of that useful survey data. Remember those blog posts that we made earlier? I want Copilot's help with some new title ideas for each of those, both the commercial and the consumer version. So I find myself here at the chat tab in Copilot with work selected. I'm going to hit the plus and then select add content. And I'll search for the word blog. Remember, we turned this into a Copilot page. And so I can see here, Boulder EV Charging Technology blog draft. That's the one we just made, so I'll select it. With that selected now, I'll ask Copilot to suggest 3 titles for both of the following blog posts located here, one for commercial and one for residential. Okay, and Copilot has fully read all of those blog posts and has now suggested 3 titles for each of the 2 blog posts. I see some compelling options here, and I simply can't decide. So let's get some further help from Copilot. I'm going to ask Copilot to compare these titles to similar blog posts that you can find online already and provide a few pros and cons for each relative to their commercial and residential lens. Now, Copilot is going to both search the web as well as that page that we made, compare them, and give me a result. Copilot has done a lot of work here. Let's scroll down and see. Okay, it has compared these titles. It's giving me some insights on each of them, pros and cons for each. I can read through these in good detail. It is even providing sources. If I hover over these numbers here, it's showing me the different websites that it is citing. At this point in Jordan's day, we've created two distinct pages. One showcases the blog posts, and the other showcases the insights we gained from a survey. Now it is time to bring it all together. I've written a prompt here referencing these pages. I'd like to update our current blog post copy to include the insights we gathered from a recent survey. Now, I do need to cite both of those pages. So I'll hit the plus item here and then select Add Content. I'll search for Survey and select the Copilot page here. Then I'll do this again. I'll add content, search for the blog page that we made, and insert that there. I can cite multiple things that I'd like to gain insights from, all in one post. There we go. Let's take a look. Here is the first blog post, and I can see here is the body copy of that blog post. It is a bit expanded now that I've added the context of the survey results. And here is the option through the residential lens as well. It then lets me know specifically what it has changed, and it is also giving me citations in varying areas as to how that data was incorporated. Copilot has helped me through every step of this journey, from creating the original blog post content to creating the survey questions, collecting the survey results, interpreting the survey results, and bringing it all together into two complete blog posts that I can issue. This is some of the exciting capabilities of Copilot being used to gather insights. Sometimes you just need a visual to be able to see it. We are going to discuss how we can visualize data and even generate new images using Copilot. Copilot Chat allows us to use more than just text. We can also visualize data and even create images. Let's give it a try. Here in my Copilot Chat window, I am asking to create a header image for an upcoming blog post regarding the latest EV charging technology. I'd like it to be a close shot of a charging cable plugged into an EV charge port. The handle should have white accents with a black cable. Now when I submit this, Copilot will review my prompt and then begin generating an image. Wow, look at that. It is exactly what we asked for. A white accented connector with a black cable being plugged into an EV vehicle's charging port. I even see a little bit of the tire down below to establish that it is a vehicle. This is useful, and I can put it right into my blog post. This time, I want to give Copilot a very complicated prompt. Let's see how it performs. I have cited an Excel spreadsheet that has some post-event data from a recent launch event. And I'll ask Copilot to create a line chart comparing the total website clicks during the event, column W, clicks post-event, column X, and social media follows using daily totals by registration date in this Excel file. Phew. Let's see how Copilot handles this task. Great. Copilot has worked through this request. Let's see what we have. Wow, take a look at this. I have a chart here with a legend showing the website clicks during the event, post the event, as well as social media follows. And I can see in one axis the total count of those clicks and follows, and on the other axis, the time in which it happened. We can see that there's a big immediate bump there towards the front, and then some spikes as we go further and further in time, which is similar to what we'd expect, but now I have a beautiful chart that I can then copy and paste into whatever application I'd like and use for our work. And of course, I can always tweak the response. I'm going to ask Copilot to show cumulative curves instead of daily lines. Let's see it regenerate this chart. Okay, it is showing me the cumulative curves. There we go. So I can see by registration date the totals here running across a little bit more of a smoother line. Great. Copilot is able to take all of that useful data from that event, analyze it, give me two distinct types of charts. And when I needed a blog header image, it was able to generate it here for me. Both of those examples, I could iterate on this with Copilot, give it refinements. I could have even made changes to that image. This unlocks some new powerful abilities in your day-to-day usage of Copilot. If there is one thing that seems very complicated, it is generating code and using formulas. I myself sometimes find that to be difficult. Copilot understands this beautifully. So let's take a look at how we can generate code and formulas using Copilot. Artificial intelligence, like Copilot, understands languages exceptionally well. And coding and formulas is just another type of language. Copilot is exceptional at these tasks. Let's see a few examples in action. Here I have a sales Excel spreadsheet, but there's a problem. As I'm telling Copilot, the total sales formula in the attached Excel file is giving the wrong result. Can you identify the error in the formula and explain what is wrong before fixing it? Let's see Copilot take this task head on. Let's take a look. It looks like it has found the problem. The grand total formula is summing the line total column, but the sum range stops one row too early, so it omits the final item's line total. Okay, so that makes sense, and here's the evidence it is using to back up that claim. It should be this, but because it was wrong, it incorrectly showed that result. Now, Copilot, per my instructions, is telling us how to fix it, but it hasn't yet applied that change. Here's some even more information through it. And now it's asking if I would like to apply the fix. And I can even see a suggestion down here towards the bottom where I can click this and immediately fill the Copilot box and then hit submit. As I scroll down, Copilot lets me know that it has applied that fix for me. It confirms what exactly it changed, shows me those answers, and then lets me know how I can verify it. And in fact, it has given me a link that I can click to download a fixed version of that Excel file. Think about what this means. I was able to have Copilot's help analyzing that Excel file, and it even went in and fixed the change for me. I did not even open the Excel application or even look at the file because I already knew what needed to be done. Copilot made those changes. Now I can open Excel, view the fixed information, and move on with my day. This capability is not only for Excel formulas. It can even be used on some more advanced code. In this example, I have a Python code. I've put that here, and I'm going to ask Copilot The attached Python script is supposed to calculate the average of a list of numbers, but the output is wrong. Explain the bug and how to fix it without fixing it yet. Here, Copilot has reviewed the file and is telling me what's going on. It's showing me what the code currently does, but also showing me what was wrong with it. Now, I don't pretend to understand Python, but it does appear that Copilot has found that issue, the exact line that is causing an issue, and it is showing us how to fix it. It's telling us in concept, not actually changing the code yet. It'll call out any other considerations that we may need. And now, if I'd like, I'll simply select provide the corrected code, and Copilot will go to work. There is one thing I do want to call out here. I have these icons up at the top. This allows me to go right to a specific line of code, copy the code in its entirety, display options for how I want to view it, including whether I want to see the line count or not, and what type of language mode. Is it Python, PowerShell, etc.? And that will change how things are highlighted and how it is understood here in the chat. Copilot has correctly recognized it as Python code. This is really useful, and now I have that corrected Python code ready to go. It has tested the result, and it has confirmed that it is correct. And if I'd like, it even gave me a link to download the corrected Python script. You've seen Copilot modify Excel formulas and use Python, but Copilot can do even more. It can process things like JavaScript, HTML, and even create pages. The possibilities are endless when it comes to generating code and using formulas. As I mentioned earlier, Copilot gets even more useful when you have a Microsoft 365 Copilot license assigned to you by your organization. This is at an additional cost, and not everyone has a Copilot license, but when you do have one, it unlocks some unique capabilities. When you have a Microsoft 365 Copilot license assigned, you have some powerful capabilities. Let's take a look at what is unlocked. I'm going to simply ask Copilot to provide a comprehensive summary of our EU expansion strategy, including key markets, top financial projections, and major risks. But I am not going to tell it any documents related to this. I'm going to let Copilot do all the work. Let's see what happens. So I can see that Copilot decided to use advanced reasoning in order to parse through the request and search for all of the relevant documents. And here I have a full comprehensive executive summary, the different markets, phasing, and when we will be moving into those areas, the financial projections, and it even gave me a table. I can scroll down and see things like the profitability, our go-to-market model, as well as I requested, major risks and the mitigations to it, including some next steps. I also am able to see the sources that Copilot found in order to provide me this information. The documents listed here across the bottom. This is an incredible amount of data search that Copilot was able to do for me based purely on the context of my initial prompt. Let's try another example. I'm going to ask Copilot to please look for the technical specifications of the ChargeHub Home and ChargeHub Pro. Then, draft a one-page FAQ and talking points document. Start with a numbered list of exactly 5 customer-friendly questions and concise answers. After the FAQ, add a clearly titled quick talking points section with 3 to 5 short bullet points. End with any notes for reps as a final section. Before I hit enter, think about this prompt. This is a lot of work. I'm not telling it where to find the technical specifications. It has to go find it on its own. Then I'm giving it a lot of very specific instructions as to the type of document that I'm wanting to create. Let's see what happens. Copilot has come back with this. It found internal resources and external resources to build these talking points. Very good. And here it goes. There's the customer FAQ. What is the main difference? And look, it is specifying stuff that it could only know if it found the technical specifications inside of our Microsoft 365 environment. Answering those 5 questions, it has provided the answers, but it has also provided citations as to where it received that information. And there are the quick talking points I requested, as well as the notes for the reps. And that was generated very quickly and immediately for my review. But Copilot doesn't only look up documents, it can also look up people. I could ask Copilot, what is the latest from Priya Desai, organized by emails, chats, and files. So if I have someone who I regularly work with, or maybe even my manager, I can get some insightful information. Now that it's done, I'll scroll down, and here is the latest from Priya Desai, emails, chats, and files. I can see that there is an email about a contract review with Eurologistics. I can see that Priya has given her approval to go ahead with some compete information. I have not really chatted much with Priya Desai, and Copilot knows that because it has access to my Teams chats. However, we do have some files in common, and it has highlighted those for me, and even let me know what things specifically may require my attention. This is some useful information for coordinating with people that I work with. When we have a Microsoft 365 license, all of this becomes unlocked. I'm able to reference documents, people, or even just ask a vague query. And as long as it is contained within my organization's Microsoft 365 environment, Copilot is there to help. When Copilot gives you useful information, sometimes we want to view that in a nice, clean page that we can share and collaborate with colleagues on. We have a feature for this called Copilot Pages. Copilot Pages allows you to take a response from Copilot and use that as a foundation to create a shareable, editable entity that we can collaborate with our colleagues on. Let's take a look at Pages. Here, I'm in the Microsoft 365 Copilot tab, and I want to direct your attention here to the left column. You'll see Pages is listed. I can expand this for a list of my recent pages, or I can select all pages to view them all at once. Now, earlier, we had put together a draft of blog posts that we'd like to make, and I can see that is right here. With a single press, I can open that up. The majority of my screen is that page. But note that Copilot is still right here on the left-hand side, able to help me make changes to this document. So if I wanted to add to the bottom of this blog post an example paragraph or so about Boulder Innovations, I can ask Copilot for its assistance in drafting it. I'm going to ask, please add a paragraph introducing Boulder Innovations that we can place at the bottom of an article. Great. And here I have a paragraph about Boulder Innovations, quite useful. At the bottom of this response, I can select Edit in Pages, and then select Add to Page. This will then place that response from Copilot wherever my cursor was. All I have left to do is make some modifications. I'll remove the initial prompt from Copilot, conclusion here. So now I have my About Boulder Innovations paragraph right at the bottom of my 2 blog posts. Now, we love collaboration here at Boulder Innovations, so I want to share this page with Maya. To do that, I can move my mouse here to the top right-hand side and select Share. I could get a link to this page, or I can select Copy Component. Pages are loop components, and those are able to be shared in a very special way. I'll copy this component. Copilot lets me know that it is copied. And now I'm going to open Microsoft Teams and send this component to my colleague Maya. Now by pasting this here, notice the loop component is rendered here in the Teams chat. When I send this to Maya, I'm going to be able to see the loop component, immediately read both of these blog posts, and I am able to jump in and make changes. I can even see the cursor of Maya as she writes text. Any change that is made in this view is automatically applied to all of the other views wherever this loop component might appear. And yes, this also includes an Outlook email. If I was to send this to Maya in an email, I can paste that link here, and just like before, I can see all of that same information and make changes, which means a busy executive like Maya can make those changes or reviews directly in Outlook without ever leaving her inbox. This type of flow is one of the very powerful capabilities that we get when utilizing Copilot Pages. When you think about an agent, you might think of someone who's performing actions on your behalf. And that is how AI tools like Copilot use agents. With Copilot, there are several types of agent. There are pre-built ones that we've created already at Microsoft. There are agents that are specifically built to understand SharePoint libraries. There are agents that you can create yourself just by having a conversation with Copilot. And those technical professionals are able to use advanced agents to interact with different tools. We have a series of pre-agents for you to explore. Researcher is able to perform comprehensive web research on your behalf. And analyst is able to take the files you give it and provide really robust analysis. If you have a new idea, your idea coach is there to help validate that idea and ask you some questions to make sure it's in the right direction. Prompt Coach is very useful so that you can refine your prompts that you give to Copilot to get even better results. Your Writing Coach is going to take things that you've already written and provide you constructive feedback so that your writing shines. And Career Coach can help you explore what the next step in your own career goal might be and how you might get to it effectively. Let's take a look at agents. To access the Analyst agent, I'm actually going to select Analyst from the list of agents here on the left-hand side of the Microsoft 365 Copilot app. Here I am at the Analyst page, and I can begin asking it to analyze a recent cash flow document that I've been provided. So I'll hit this plus item here, and then select Add Content. I'll search for the file by typing the word cash, and here it has searched through my OneDrive and SharePoint sites that I have access to in order to provide me a list of files that match. Fortunately, this is exactly what I'm looking for, so I'll select that document. It puts the name of the file there into my prompt box, and now I can write out the rest of my prompt. I'm going to say, what are some quick insights about the data from this uploaded file? And then I'll submit it. Analyst is now going to go to work analyzing that Excel spreadsheet bit by bit and drawing conclusions and coming up with the various insights that it can find. Okay, it looks like the Analyst agent is wrapping up. Here are some quick insights from the file, and look at what it is giving me. It is showing me cash flow projections, the initial investment, monthly revenue growth, our cost structure, cash flow analysis. I'm able to see the different country data as well as currency data and more. And so this is useful, but I do break this down in an even more visual way. I'm going to ask Analyst to create a chart for revenue and net cash flow. Okay, now that it has thought through, here's a chart showing monthly revenue and net cash flow from the European expansion plan. This is generated and created using code. Analyst is able to not only look through the existing information inside of the Excel file, but then use advanced formulas and Python scripts in order to generate charts like the one you see here. So while our net cash flow in July of 2025 was somewhat low, that then jumped up, and we can see these lines over time, and that the revenue is moving upwards, and so is our net cash flow at a slightly slower pace than overall revenue. I can ask analysts to compare and contrast one Excel file to another Excel file, or an Excel file to a Word document. Whatever I'm able to reference using Copilot, I can provide that to analysts in order to have it compare that information, analyze it, and extract useful insights. As you've seen throughout our session today, utilizing Copilot Chat to have just a simple conversation with AI is a really powerful tool. It helps us not only summarize information, but also analyze it, create entirely new bodies of text or images, and do things that maybe we weren't capable of before, like generating code and writing formulas. Copilot is always learning and growing, and we are so excited to have you here along this journey. The information on your screen provides links to resources that you can explore to dive deeper into Copilot and continue your learning. Thank you so much for joining us for this session, and we're excited to see what new heights you can achieve with Microsoft 365 Copilot.
This event is now concluded. If you have any final questions, you can ask them in the chat. Event resources are linked in our event platform. Thank you so much for joining us today.